I've been warning people that however dirty and disgusting and underhanded and cruel and damaging you think the Republican primary is going to get, you haven't seen anything yet and you don't understand it. We're not there yet necessarily. I think that they will go far beyond what we're seeing, but I want to give you an example of how disgusting this is going to get. There are these flyers going around like thanking Trump in Iowa for his advocacy for the LGBTQ community. And I think we all understand what the Republicans who are running these are trying to accomplish. Here's what they're sending out. Donald Trump stood up for marriage equality and trans rights. Contact President Trump and tell him to keep fighting for LGBTQ plus rights. They put the rainbow colors and there's a rainbow fist. He's a great warrior for these communities. Obviously that's not true. We know that he's made claims that he was going to be before his term, but no, he viciously persecuted LGBTQ plus people. They know that, but they also know what their base is. It goes on to say, thank you, Trump. It shows a picture of him. He celebrated gay marriage victory at Mar-a-Lago party with log cabin Republicans. You know the log cabin Republicans. They're gay Republicans that at one point were accepted in the Republican Party, but now simply affiliating with them should end your career, I guess. And it thanks him for, goes on to say, they thank him for being a transgender trailblazer. There's an organization called Paid For by, so it's Advancing Our Values. It was set up on June 27th, 2023. We may never know where the money is coming from, but we understand the strategy. It's like simply having said something that's minimally supportive of trans people's right to exist is now being used as an attack against him in this underhanded way. Jessica, what do you think? Do you see this playing in Iowa?
I really do, unfortunately. The way I see it is Iowa used to be such a purple state, such a swing state. And then we saw over the period of like a half a century, businesses in Iowa be the victims of corporate farming coming in and buying up hog lots, buying up farmland, really forcing bankruptcy by having these farmers rent out the hogs or rent out tools and equipment or rent out fields and try and make it season to season. And then all of these small farms end up shutting down. There's not a lot of business there. A lot of kids don't stay after they finish school and they go and move to another state where there's more opportunity. And you have all of these folks who were totally on board with things like NAFTA and the Farm Bill. And then they see what it does to their state. They see politicians not doing much about corporate farming, taking over the ag industry, which is huge in Iowa. And then they blame wokeness being a priority as the problem, because that's convenient for these politicians to get elected instead of using things like federal funds that are available in Iowa, instead of investing in Iowa, instead of regulating these corporations, because it's easier for them to stay in power. They want to fight this culture war. And the consequence is now things like a mailer that Trump supporting the LGBTQ community could mean DeSantis has the upper hand in a state like Iowa. It's really sad to see. And it's something that's reversible, but not something a lot of people are working on here because they don't have to.
Yeah. Look, we're gonna see, we already know, and we only have a little bit of time left, unfortunately, but this is obviously following up the Ron DeSantis PAC supported absolutely vicious genocidal ad against the LGBTQ community, just delighting in the fact that he's terrifying people, that they fear for their lives, they fear for their futures. That's what he's staking this race on. And it's like kind of, I think, a natural, like final destination for this horrifically cruel culture war that he's been one of the main warriors in for a number of years. He has to out Trump Trump. And cruelty has always been one of the biggest appeals of Trump. There's the weird humor and stuff like that too, and they like some of the policies or whatever, but it's always been fundamentally built around cruelty. And I don't see this working for Ron DeSantis in terms of surpassing Trump. What I unfortunately see happening is if Trump sees it working, Trump is going to increase the cruelty. He's already shown a willingness to do this. He's been talking more about the trans community this year. I just see it getting worse and worse. But final quick point goes to you.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you described, where DeSantis saw an opportunity here in the political field to be to the right of Donald Trump and occupy that space and criticize him from the right. And Donald Trump said, okay, well, the only thing I can do is one up people. And that means moving not to the more moral side and criticizing Ron DeSantis and keeping his position as someone who supported the LGBTQ community during his run in 2016 and a bit in 2020. Instead, he's going to the right of DeSantis. And that's really worst case scenario. And it's what we're seeing in the Republican primary. And I don't think any of these candidates care about Iowa. When Pence was asked if he's running for president, he said, well, I'm in Iowa, not because he wanted to be, not because he cared, but because he has to be.
100%. That's true of a lot of politicians, including on the Democratic side.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.